Omo, thank you for meeting with us on the behalf of IE. We're excited to learn more about your journey to COD and how you moved on from COD and what you're doing now. Please tell us more about yourself and where you're from.
Okay, my name is Omozogie Asiruwa, and I'm from Nigeria. So I came to COD in 2013.
Wow.
Yes.
And how would you describe your journey to COD?
It's been beautiful, but not easy. There were bumps on the way. There was so much. When I look back now, I can't believe I did it. You know, there's so much that I'm grateful for. Just my support system, my family, my friends, and COD. I wouldn't be here without their help.
Was there any affliction that you had to face during your time with COD?
Oh, yes. I remember writing an essay. Back in Nigeria, we speak British English, and I could speak English really well. I said, oh man, I was good. But I get to America, and I wrote an essay, and behold, the paper came back with a lot of red marks, and I couldn't believe it. So there were some words in American English that were not used in British English. There were words in British English that were not used in America. So here I am. I speak English, but I had to learn how to write American English. Was it difficult? I wouldn't say it was, but it was just at that point in my life, I couldn't believe that there were some words I couldn't put in an essay. So my professor, she was very, very nice, and she was very welcoming, and I think you should know her, Professor Benesh.
Oh my gosh, I love her.
She was so welcoming to an international student. So I have all my papers till date, because once in a while you can still make reference to that. She highlighted, and it's just sentence structure. There were ways I was taught, but here in America, it's different. So I think that was one of the bumps that I remember pretty well. Then another bump was nursing school. I had to graduate, so I had one class that I needed to do again, and it was tough. I was like, oh my god, I need to graduate, I need to pass, I don't know if I'm gonna do this, I don't know. I think that really shook me in my whole time. And I remember going to the international student office and talking to them. How do I go about this class? I'm really finding it very difficult, and I need this class to go. And they gave me really good tips of what to do, how to go about it, and I finished that class pretty strong. But I became a better person even after taking that class. I became a better student, and it's just, there was this standard I set for myself that was so high. So when I had every bump, it felt like, oh no, not again. Like I wanted perfection. But just by going to COD, I found out that sometimes things don't always go as we plan it. Doesn't mean it's not gonna go as we plan it. You just have, maybe it's not just the right time. But that shouldn't mean you should give up. You just gotta keep going.
Right. Is there something that you would tell someone in college at the same, let's say, I don't know how to phrase this, but what do you wish a student would know when you were a student? How do I say that? Like, is there something, what is one thing you wish you knew sooner for students now?
For
That makes
students
sense.
now?
Yeah.
International students or all students?
International students, any student.
I would say before going into any career or anything you want to do, try as much as possible to, even if it's just a day, spend a day with somebody who is already into that career. See how their life is. See how their day-to-day activities go. Just spend one day. Just spend a moment and Another thing is ask questions. No question is stupid. Just ask questions wherever you think, okay, you're having self-doubt, you're doubting yourself. Ask those questions. You might not get the answers right away, but you will definitely get the answers. As far as you have a question in mind and you ask them, you're going to find answers. It might not be that day, it might be the next day, but there'll be answers. As a student or international student, ask your questions about a career. Oh, I want to go in this field. It's something I love to do. Read about it. Learn about it. Is this going to fit in your life? Is this what you really want? Ask yourself those. Students should be able to ask themselves those deep questions of, is this what I want?
Yeah.
Where do I see myself in the next 10 years?
Yeah.
What do I want to do? Have a timeline. Sometimes we don't know those timelines. They said man proposes, God disposes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you have a timeline and you kind of try to walk towards it, I think the path might look easier, but so that when those bumps starts to come, you can face it and just, okay, I'm not going to stop. I got to keep going.
How? Because we all know the nursing school, the nursing program is very, very rigorous, and it's intense, and it's complex and complicated. How did you find those pockets of encouragement, those pockets of motivation, those pockets of hope during a time where, you know, you were stressed? Because I'm assuming that you were stressed.
It was very
yeah.
It was very stressful.
How did you find?
I reached out to my close friends. I reached out to my family. I reached out to my brother, my immediate younger brother. I reached out to my siblings. There were days where I reached out to my friends that were not even in COD. Hey, it's just a call on the phone. I'm like, hey, and sometimes they're not available to answer me. But my parents were. My mom, my dad especially was always there. He's always there. I reached out. This class was so tough. I don't know if I passed this exam. He always had something in mind to tell me. He would say, uneasy lies the head that wears a crown. Nothing good comes easy. If it comes easy, everybody will get it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that makes sense. That's true. And he tells me, and just pray. But put in the work. But nothing good comes easy though. So with that, that was my motivation. There were days where I didn't just feel like going to class. Like, man, this is getting tougher by the day. And the more you go in the nursing program, one step to the other, it gets tougher. Then at the end, when I saw that I was getting to the end, there was light. There was light at the end of the tunnel. I was like, okay, this is a final stretch. I gotta push it.
What were some of your favorite moments, or like highlight moments where you knew I could do it? Like you passed like this test, and you're like, oh, I knew I could do it. Or like I saw this sign and I knew I could do it. Like I was just almost there. What was your almost there moment?
My almost there moment was when I got my CNA license, because I took a CNA class before going into the nursing program. I didn't know what it was to be a nurse in America. I didn't know because I didn't do my volunteer hours. Mm-hmm. I did it in a hospital back home. So when I got into the CNA program, I was so happy. I was excited. I was grateful that I got into the program. And when we started doing clinicals, it became, oh my God, is this what the CNAs do? I started going to this long-term facilities, the skilled nursing. I said, wow, okay. If I can get through the CNA program. So when I got through the CNA program and I passed the license exam, I was like, man, I can be a nurse. But finally was when I passed my NCLEX to be an RN. I drove all the way to around San Marcos because I wanted an earlier date to write my exam. I didn't want to postpone it after graduating. And after the exam, I came out crying. I thought I had failed because it felt like I didn't know anything. I was crying. I was like, man, after everything, I was in tears. But I drove back home. And the next, I think it takes about 48 hours for you to get your license online in California. And then I checked. I just kept checking. And then I checked. All I saw was a license number. It was 1 a.m. at night. I was the only one in my room. And I just kept jumping on top of the bed. I was jumping so bad, screaming that all I was saying was, I have a license. That's all I said. That's a moment I would never forget. And then I called my family, called my parents, called everybody, called my husband now, and everybody was just like, wow, you did it. All the bombs, I forgot about them. That was a moment I would not forget.
Thank you for sharing that moment.
Yeah.
It sounds like a beautiful moment.
Very beautiful.
A core memory.
Very, very. I remember 1 a.m. at night, because for the 48 hours, I did not sleep.
You were watching?
I was watching my phone. I couldn't sleep. And I knew, because I didn't tell anybody when I was going to write my exam. Nobody knew. Because I didn't want the pressure. I didn't want any, did you pass? I didn't want that.
Did you get it yet?
Yes, I didn't want that. So I told nobody.
And that leads me to my next question. How did you deal with the pressure, with the stress? Like, what was your regimen, not regimen, but like, how did you deal with all of that? Because I'm sure it was very, very hard, both for your mental health and your emotional health. And
I remember just being in my room most of the time. I kind of shut people out. I learned how to shut people out. I became so into me. I started thinking of, okay, how can I better myself? So I try to filter out the negatives from the positives. I filter them out. That really helped me a lot. There were times when somebody would tell me, I had someone tell me, oh, do you really want to be a nurse? Why not be a pharmacist? Or why not be a doctor? Like, I had that conversation, and I said, yeah, I want to be a nurse. I don't want to do pharmacy. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. It's too much time. It's going to take years. Like, I always had an answer for the negatives.
Right.
Not because I wanted to have an answer, but just because I wanted to. It was a shield for me to prevent myself from thinking that I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So when they say, oh, are you sure you're going to pass? I would say, I don't know, but we'll see. All I do is try. It was a shield. When those responses came out, they were not to come out as being rude or dismissive. It was a shield for me.
Yeah.
To like, oh yeah, I'm defending myself. So when they try to say something else, I walk away. So that was what I did to try to just, the stress. I really love to dance and cook. So sometimes if I was really stressed out, I just go on my phone, look for Nigerian recipes that I've not made before, try to cook, try to dance, just go to the gym. When it's empty, I dance out my heart in there. Just dance out my stress. I start sweating. Like, that was my coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Just, I'll cook different food. Sometimes I would just make something for my classmates or make something for my friends or cook for them. It was my coping method.
Were there people along the way? I know you have your family, but are there specific people or strangers that you've come across that really pushed you forward, that encouraged you, that you still ask for advice for, still ask for guidance in?
Yes. And like the international office, they always told me, oh no, you've come this far, you're almost there. Just keep going. There was no week I wouldn't be in that office. Either celebrating or expressing my fears or my stress in regards to my journey. And I had a very good friend. Her name is Jennifer. She was one of the few people I first met at COD. And she helped me out a lot without her knowing it. Yes. Just not, we are both going into the nursing program, but I went into COD, she went to Cal State. And I remember when I got in COD, she didn't get in at the instant, but she later got in, and then I got into Cal State. I didn't apply to Cal State because I said, oh, I already have a bachelor's before. I'm not going to apply another bachelor's. I will do my bachelor's after I get my RN. So when we both got into the nursing program, it was like there was somebody I could
relate to.
She was doing her prerequisite then. We did it together. So when I was like, okay, now we can talk about nursing. So we would always share ideas, talk, and she was there every step of the way. Every step of the way. And it was tough. But she was there every step of the way. And my husband was always giving me advice. Because he studied abroad. So he knew what it felt like, how I felt. So there was always this advice of, don't worry. Just, if you don't understand, just go to the professor. They have office hours. Talk to them. I said, but how would I talk to them? You know how it is how would I talk to a professor? You know how it is here. How would I just go to them? And you know they call their professors by their first names. And in my country where I'm from, we don't.
Yeah.
We have to say Sawama, or we have to add the word professor to it. So I found that very hard to do. But he said no. They walk. They would answer you. Just go. And I started doing that. So
as a former international student from Nigeria, what is your advice to current international students studying at COD who are, struggling with that sense of community, having to be so far away from home and having to ask professors, what is your advice to them, knowing what you know now?
My advice to them is, number one, be humble. Number two, be open. Whatever country the person is from, how things are done in your country does not matter. This is America. They say you gotta behave in Rome. When you're in Rome, behave like the Romans.